everyone. Welcome back to another Ableton tutorial. Big shout out everyone who's liking, subscribing, getting involved. Big shout out to the Patreon crew. Means a lot for the support over there. Patreon members have got some more of these racks to download today. And big shout out to everyone who is making suggestions and requests for things that I can dig into. And you may have guessed from the title of this video that this is a follow-up to my previous video about the envelope follower, and a few people requesting on there to dive into these ideas a bit more, to see what other cool stuff we can do, what other stuff we can make dynamic, because basically that's what the envelope follower is. It's just a way of using dynamic to control parameters of the sound, to control modulation. So we're going to look at 5 ideas. I've prepared a little bit of stuff here today that we can do, and we're going to begin with what we hear in the background. We have some envelope follower doing some stuff, but let's stop. Let's delete the envelope follower stuff that was happening there, and let's just listen to the component bits of this, what we're going to start with. So we have kind of a pad sound, just a stock pad sound, and I've programmed in here in the MIDI, I've just programmed in 2 chords. And we have a garage beat. Again, stock garage beat, stock from Ableton's clips over here. Didn't really change anything. So this is what we're going to start with, and we're going to use an envelope follower to control, to make those sort of bleepity bloopity bits that you heard happening before. I've obviously deleted everything. Did I say that already? I don't know. Anyway, I've deleted everything, and we're going to start from here. And we're going to start with the spectral resonator, which already sounds fucking cool. I mean, I love this thing, but we're not going to use it like this today. We're going to put this in granular mode. And already you can hear like all this cool bleepity bloopity stuff. Very, very nice. Instead of taking internal, we're going to switch to MIDI, and we're going to take the MIDI input from these 2 pads over on that. So we're going to choose that Callisto Moon. And now when I press play on here, and I'll just turn off the pad sound itself. Now you can hear the grains changing with those chords. We're going to switch this to poly. And we have all of these now things that we can play with over here. And already I think you see where we're going. So let's bring in the envelope follower. And so we're using the volume of the drums to control some elements on here. First of all, I want to maybe map that to the decay, and let's make that... Give it a bit more... distorting a little bit. Let's just bring the volume down. We're going to try mapping this to some other stuff. Why not? We're here. Let's try mapping it to the pitch mod. Well, that's cool. So now we have the volume of the drums controlling the decay of each of these little grains, and we have the volume of the drums controlling the pitch modulation. Let's connect it to the harmonics as well, why not? That's a lot. This is nice. I'm digging this. Now, let's complete this sound a little bit. So we want to maybe EQ it a little bit, because it's kind of there's a lot of low mids. And now I'm going to group all of those things. Select Command G. Create a dry layer, right click, create chain. And because this is a layer, I'm going to actually sidechain that against the drums, against the dry signal. So I'm going to just take a compressor, make sure it's on that particular lane of the effects rack. Turn on the sidechain, take input from Garage Kit. We want it pre-effects. Now those bleepity bloopity things are sort of ducking down and hiding behind the drums. Let's maybe add a little bit of reverb to that. Give it a little bit more context. Something really subtle though. Where's it gone? Where have you gone? Reverb, reverb, reverb. Let's quite nice. Now let's bring the pad back in. I think maybe those bloopity things can have a bit more level. Let's bring the pad down. How am I going to just give this a little bit more level? Oh, we have an input send. Is that going to give us more level? Yeah. Lovely, 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 lovely. Okay, so there you go. That is maybe a bit too much now. Bring it down a bit. So that is idea number one. Controlling some grains to create. So obviously you can take this MIDI from any MIDI channel that you like. So any sort of harmonic or even melodic content that you have going in your track, you can ask Spectral Resonator to take the MIDI from that particular track. So the spectral resonating will then connect immediately to whatever chords, whatever melodic and harmonic information you have going on. That's idea number one. Nicely done. Idea number two. We're going to stick with garage beat. And we're going to make this sound. And that's this effect track here. I'm going to delete it. So what we're going to look at here is kind of a version of Karplus Strong synthesis. So we're going to use the echo. And that sounds like an echo. But if we turn sync off, so now we're just time-based and not grid-based, and we start bringing these times really short, turn the feedback up, you hear we get notes happening. And the longer the decay time, the lower the note. Okay, so now let's connect that to an envelope follower. Way. Could strain the values. Make this 100% wet. What is this? Ooh. Yeah, maybe let's connect that to the reverb. But again, super subtle. Ooh. That's pretty cool. I want this to be a super stereo effect, so let's adjust the stereo placement here using the left and right. Just cool. What else are we gonna do? Let's just turn that into again a group. Select everything. Command G. We're now in a group. Make a dry signal. And again, let's add a compressor at the end of all of that. We probably want an EQ as well, just to control the low. Yeah, look at all those lows. Let's get rid of some of these lows. On the affected signal, let's compress it against the main signal. So this is input from number 5. And with a sound like this, really you can see how much difference it makes just adjusting these times. So you have a lot of options there, and it's also, you can make it sound like kind of heading towards a techno-y sound if we connect this with the input. So this is adjusting the input going into the echo. Now we're getting that kind of really distorted kick drum sound. What happens if we bring this down? I mean, that's one direction you can go. Let's take that out. Let's go back here. And we got a lot of other cool sounds if we switch the repitch off. And now let's drive the feedback. So this is a lovely versatile trick that you can take in a whole bunch of different directions. Okay, Number 3. What have we got for number 3? Well, I have here some cello improv. This rack will be available for Patreon members to download, along with all of these presets. So, let's delete it. Let's see what's going to happen. Okay, so this is kind of based on a shimmer delay, but I want to add something else before the shimmer delay. I want to add a resonator. So we're going to bring in a resonator. This improv is in C minor. Shout out Galia Sky for this improv, by the way. Big shout out. So it is in C minor. So I have my center note of the resonator set to C minor. I'm just going to add a fifth, and we're going to add an octave. And we're going to turn these off, and we're just going to make the decay nice and long. And let's maybe turn this into a high pass. Lovely. Okay, now we're going to add the shimmer delay. So we're going to use the Ableton's grain delay for this. We're going to make the pitch an octave. Lovely. Now, I want to connect this to a nice big reverb. So we're going to use the hybrid reverb for this. We're just going to switch this to bigger spaces. And we're going to take maybe the cathedral. Okay, so now let's use the envelope follower to control some of this, hey? So, in this instance, what I'm actually going to do is just control the level of the signal going into this effects chain. So I'm going to add a utility right at the start of this whole thing. I'm going to group this effects chain. Select everything, Command G. Again, we're distorting a bit. Let's just turn you down, please. Thank you. Calm down. Now, using this gain, I can control how much of the signal is being sent to this lovely effects chain. So let's control that with the envelope follower. So let's bring in an envelope follower. We're gonna, not mod. I want this to be a remote control. Oh, and before I add this, I'm gonna make sure that it only goes up to 50%. Of course, 50% being 0 dB, 100% being plus 36 dB. So now let's map you to here. Let's adjust some of these parameters a bit. Lovely. Now right click, add the dry signal. So now you can hear the super quiet passages, super quiet phrases are not really getting sent to this chain at all, but then as the playing opens up, it goes and we get a lot of signal being sent to this chain. You know what's going to be actually really quite nice in here as well is if I connect also that envelope follower to a kind of a filter. So let's double click you guys and let's connect that to the frequency of this EQ. So now this frequency is coming in between the grain delays and the reverb. So we're getting all those high shimmery stuff. Then when the playing calms down, that high shimmery stuff gets shut down by the filter. But it's still going through the reverb and everything. And what I really like about this chain is that you're controlling the input signal, which means the effects of that, it feels like these waves of delay and resonance and reverb are coming. And the stronger the playing, the stronger the wave. Lovely effect for live improvisation. So yeah, that's that one. As I said, Patreon members will be able to download the full version of this rack that I made along with some presets. Let's press stop on you. Right, next. What's next? What is next? Well, it's this effect. So this is me on a violin. I was trying to replicate the start of the Radiohead song, Burn the Witch. If you know the song, it sort of starts with these kind of sounds, and then I just did some bunch of recordings based on that. So, let's delete everything that the envelope follower is doing. And this is the sound that we're starting with. So all I've done to the sound so far is just do a bit of EQ. So, what I want to use for this is the spectral time. Now, the spectral time has two stages, a freezer stage and a delay stage. We're only going to use the freezer stage for this. We want a retrigger. Yes. 100% wet, please. Crikey. Yeah, so the retrigger is retriggering the freeze every time the volume passes this sensitivity. So it's already kind of got a little bit of an envelope follower style thing on it. So you can see if I adjust the sensitivity right the way down, we're not getting any trigger. It's not adjusting the freeze. There'll be a point where it's getting some of them and not others. But I've got it set to be quite sensitive so that every little bounce, it's adjusting what's happening over here. Now we can get quite a different sound depending on which resolution we use. Or the low resolution. And then again, depending on the type of crossfading that we're using as well between the grains. Now, I want this to be not quite so intense and not quite so all the time. So first thing I'm going to do is make it a lovely stereo signal. I'm going to use the Align Delay, the really handy little utility plug-in this. Splits the signal into left and right and allows you to add either a millisecond or a sample or a distance, I'm not quite sure what distance is, delay to a sound. And what this, of course, is going to turn the sound into a true stereo sound. It's called the Haas effect. And you can see I just add a little bit of this, and now all of a sudden the sound is super wide. Lovely. So basically I'm now going to add a utility to the end of that and use the envelope follower to just control this output signal. So we're going to bring... Crikey, this is sounding so intense. Going to set you, again to, first of all, remote and to 50%, please. And let's connect you to here. Let's just add a little bit of attack to that sound. And a bit more full. And again, let's group all of this. Added the dry signal. And just using these parameters here, the gain and the fall, we can really have a lot of control over the sound. So if we turn the gain right up, obviously that's controlling this output here. We're getting almost gain the whole time. And the thing I like about the envelope follower is like once you've got 100% of the signal, that's as far as it's going to go. It doesn't just keep going up. So you can almost use it as kind of a gate in a way as well. And as I was doing with the others, I would probably add a compressor to the end of this. Sidechain it against the dry signal, which is number 7, bouncing bow. And you have this lovely, now, eerie effect that you can add in behind. Again, dynamically controlled. Okay, that's that one. Now we come to number 5. And let's have a listen. What is number 5? Well, number 5 sounds like this. Okay, so let's have a listen to what's going on here without the envelope follower. So the envelope follower is over here, and if I turn it off, we have kind of a glitchy loop. Again, this is Ableton stock loop, and I'll turn that off. And we have a pad, Ableton preset pad. So let's delete all of the stuff that was doing envelope following things. And let's start from the start. So we're back here. So I came with this idea because this, it sounded, it's interesting. It's not that interesting. So I'm going to use the drums to modulate the pad sound here, so that these two sounds can interact with each other. So let's use an envelope follower on the drums. Let's just adjust those parameters to begin with. And now this, I'm using Wavetable. Wavetable is an MPE enabled instrument, and I need an MPE instrument for this because I'm going to use the Microtuner. So what the Microtuner does, let's stop the drum loop. So the Microtuner does what it says on the box. It's a Microtuner. It allows you to set scales and move these scale degrees around sort of however you want. If I add some, you can see that I'm adjusting exactly where these notes on the scale are. It stops it. It needs to recalibrate, re-trigger each time I add a new note. But we also have this blend option where we can go from scale A to scale B. And scale B over here is set to be what's called a standard Western scale, standard equal temperament scale. So if I move this we get this lovely, weird, kind of like THX video effect kind of a thing a little bit. You can see where I'm going with this. We're going to connect that. We're going to press play on these drums, and we're going to connect the envelope follower to this. This is another effect that has a huge difference depending on what we have up here. So at the moment we're using a 5-tone scale and it's really quite random. If I change this to like perhaps a... Maybe that's back. And I want to add one more thing to this. Yeah, let's stop that again, because I like this kind of a weirdo, like broken CD kind of effect that was happening there. So I'm going to sort of amplify that a bit. So I've got a utility plugin. I'm going to add an LFO. Now, if I set this LFO again, I just want this to be like kind of 40 to 60 because we're going to put it on the gain. So be careful, everyone. I'm going to set it to random. We're going to turn the rate up super high, and we're going to add a whole bunch of jitter. Now, I love this effect. It feels to me like super fragile, and we can amplify the effect by bringing down the minimum, and you get this kind of a thing, which is really cool. Now we can control this using the depth. Yeah, you see where I'm going? So let's add a layer of the envelope follower onto the depth of that. And let's make that as well. We don't want a mod, we just want a remote control. And now... yeah, maybe this is a little bit too much here. So now it has this effect that the drums are really messing with the synth, with that pad. I'm gonna add one more thing to have these two things really talk to each other really nicely. Let's, you guessed it, compressor. Let's sidechain that synth against the flared out kit. I mean, sidechain compression is effectively envelope following. I mean, I could have done the same thing with an envelope follower and another utility, but this just gives me a little bit more control over some of the parameters. But what we have now is this lovely effect as well. I was thinking maybe I might try and write a song with this, where when the beat drops out, we suddenly have this calmness. And then the beat just not only makes it feel more hectic because there's a beat, but it really seems to be distorting the whole field. Not seems to be, it really is distorting the whole field. Okay, there we go. That's 5 more concepts, is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 more concepts with the envelope follower. Hope you got something, hope you got some inspiration, got some ideas. Give me a shout out in the comments if there's other things you'd like me to explore, or you want more envelope follower ideas, stuff. Tag me at nicholas.thayer if you're posting this shit on Instagram. Would love to see and love to share it. Make some suggestions. What are you using the envelope follower for? I should stop talking. I've run out of things to say.